John Cena, the last legitimate legend created by WWE, following in the footsteps of Hogan, Austin and The Rock. A man who for over a decade split opinion amongst fans. The West Newbury, Massachusetts native now seems to have finally been accepted as one of the true legends of the wrestling industry by fans across the world. In this video, we'll take a look at 5 moments in WWE history that made John Cena. What a way to debut against the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. The year was 2002 and nobody could predict the road that WWE was about to embark on. Kurt Angle was in the ring on SmackDown and confidently challenged anyone in the back to come and challenge him in the middle of the ring. Would anybody have enough ruthless aggression? John Cena answered the call. A very different looking John Cena strode down the aisle, generic music playing, wearing red tights and wrestling boots, but already you could tell a future superstar was in our midst. Incredibly, for much of the match, John Cena threw Angle around the ring, dazing the veteran in the process. It looked like Cena would score an upset victory, but ultimately Angle rolled Cena up for the 3 count. Later, we went backstage to see The Undertaker face up to John Cena and he offered him a handshake. This was an incredible way to debut in WWE. Cena made a huge positive first impression. It was clear from day one that Cena was being poised for great things in the company. As I make this video, John Cena has held an incredible 16 World Championships. At WrestleMania 21 on April 3rd, 2005, he was set on this course to legendary status. His match against JBL wasn't the most technical contest on the card, but that didn't matter. JBL's reign of terror as WWE champion had dragged on for months and fans were still firmly supporting Cena, who had morphed from cocky rapper to American hero since his debut. JBL was hated as champion, as all good heels should be, so it was a great moment to see him relieved of the belt. While nobody could have predicted that Cena would reach 16 world title wins back in 2005, you could still see how successful he was going to be as a bona fide main event superstar. This title win was just the beginning of a main event run that would last for well over a decade. Issuing an open challenge is a great way to get younger talent over against veteran superstars, and as Cena debuted in an open challenge himself, perhaps this was his way of giving back after years of dominating the main event scene in WWE. The year was 2015 and Cena was US champion, a perfect championship for younger wrestlers to compete for against the legendary figure. By 2015, it felt as though Cena's in-ring career was slowing down somewhat, as Hollywood was coming calling with acting gigs that may yet turn him into a movie star the size of The Rock. If Cena was ever going to give back to the up-and-coming superstars in the back, now was the time. The US title open challenge also made the US Championship seem like a big deal after years of being an afterthought. It really did seem like a title worth winning. Perception really is everything. For weeks on Raw, Cena defended his title in near contests against the likes of Neville, Sami Zayn, Cesaro and Kevin Owens. Each contest went right down to the wire and Cena treated them with respect. Kevin Owens probably gained the biggest rub from facing Cena, propelling him to true superstar status. In what was the best match of the series, Owens told Cena he wouldn't face him on Raw, but at the Elimination Chamber event. This first match wasn't for the title, but he did defeat Cena on the night. If there was ever any doubt that John Cena is a gift to wrestling, that was distinguished at WrestleMania 36. As COVID-19 raged on, WWE had to take a slightly different route in some of their matches on the night in front of an empty arena. The Firefly Funhouse was born from the twisted mind of the Fiend Bray Wyatt and has been described as a cinematic masterpiece by some quarters. Not a match for traditional wrestling fans, this contest allowed Cena to exercise his acting chops and threw in a bit of dark comedy too. The match started with Wyatt inviting Cena to enter his world. Once he'd entered, Cena went on a journey through his own career, with Wyatt questioning the decisions Cena had made. Really, it has to be seen to be truly understood. This could have been a mess, but it turned out to be one of the greatest moments in either men's career. Before we get to number 1, here are 3 honourable mentions for moments that made John Cena. Setting the wrestling world on fire as he returned from injury at number 13 in the Royal Rumble 2008 at Madison Square Garden. He'd go on to win the match and main event WrestleMania. He's granted 650 wishes. John Cena's work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation is nothing short of incredible. He's granted more wishes to sick children than any other celebrity. WrestleMania 20 saw Cena rap his way down to the ring en route to destroying the Big Show and winning the US title, his first ever championship. It was clear on the night that Cena was a rising superstar. The faith WWE has placed in Cena as the go-to guy in the company was clear to see in 2011. For the first time in WrestleMania history, a match was booked a full year in advance. The Rock was revealed as host of WrestleMania 27, and upon his return to WWE began a feud with John Cena. The Rock got involved in Cena's main event match versus The Miz, giving Miz the advantage by rock bottoming Cena and allowing him to retain his WWE title. The night after on Raw, Cena challenged The Rock to a match at WrestleMania 28 in a year's time. This truly was a dream match, with 2 icons representing their eras in wrestling. Sun Life Stadium in Miami was on fire for this contest, as were the 2 competitors. Cena ultimately lost the match, but in spectacular style. So, do you agree with this list? What were the moments that you think defined John Cena's career? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll speak to you all again in the next one.